Hey guys, it's Sarah Schneider with NourishYourLife.org. If you are new to me, I'm a holistic nutritionist and I help mamas reset, heal, and nourish their bodies so that they can have lasting weight loss, right? Because that's what we all want. We want forever weight loss, not just temporary. So today I want to talk about hormones and the holidays because during the holidays, things are really, really stressful. And a hormone imbalance can make things even worse. It can make you literally feel miserable. Here, let me see if I can't turn that down so that doesn't disturb us. Okay, so I was actually inspired this morning because one of the women that I work with in a business group of mine, she was talking about how her hair, which is very, very naturally curly, she's got a tight curl, has been really wonky lately. And is kind of that half and half kind of thing going on. And she was asking if anybody had any ideas about what could be going wrong, right? And my immediate thought was hormone imbalance. Hormone imbalance can do all kinds of crazy things. Hey, whoever hopped on. Hormone imbalance can do all kinds of crazy things, and it can literally make you feel like you're crazy in the head. So if you're experiencing depression or frustration, or you're quick to react with your kids, or you just feel all of that stress bubbling up within you and there's no real reason for it, right? Everything is seeming to go okay. Yeah, it's the added stress from the holidays, but everything seems okay, but you just feel really off and you haven't been able to pinpoint it. Or if you have been trying to lose weight, big one, ladies. If you have been trying to lose weight and it is not happening, no matter how closely you follow like the plan, even if you have your unique nourishment blueprint, right? Because I talk about how that's so important. You have to figure out which foods work for you, which foods don't, and when you do that, the weight seems to kind of come off effortlessly. But with that being said, if you're noticing that things are not happening in that space, right? You're just not losing the weight. This could be down to a hormonal imbalance. And yes, can you lose weight with a hormone imbalance? Absolutely. Is it going to make it harder? Yes, absolutely. So if you think, we'll talk about a few things today, okay? But if you think that you have some sort of hormonal imbalance or you're not quite sure what's going on, head to the doctor and get a blood work done, okay? And the reason I'm saying this is because sometimes we'll read our symptoms on Google, right? And we go, oh, that's it, that's what I have. And then you get your blood work and it's completely different. And your symptoms are just manifesting as some of the same symptoms for a different type of imbalance, right? And the last thing that you want to do is to start supplementing with more of something that you are already in excess of. Does that make sense, guys? So for example, I'll share something like super personal, but I have a hormone imbalance right now, and it was because I contracted or I reactivated my, sorry, there's a little notification. I reactivated Epstein-Barr. And when you do that, Epstein-Barr is mono, okay? If you have it when you're a teenager and then it gets reactivated due to stress or something like that, it can come back with a vengeance and it can really mess your body up. And I actually put together a protocol that helped me get through the Epstein-Barr, but one of the side effects is it really threw my hormones off. It threw my thyroid off. I have the antibodies for Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So that's one of those things where if it gets thrown off somehow, then you'll notice a big difference in the way that your ability to lose weight and stuff, right? It's also, there's different kind of imbalances. So like, for example, DHEA is a male hormone that females have because we have both female and male hormones, right? This is one of the ones that are really out of whack for me right now. And as much as I have been trying to control that with my diet, it just wasn't possible. So the doctor put me on some medications, and she called me the other day and she goes, "Are you supplementing with that?" And I said, "No, not at all." "Why?" And she said, "Because it's not improving." So one of the things that I decided to do was I decided to take care of some stuff with herbs to see if that would help. But I guess this is what I'm saying, guys. If I had gone online and I had looked up my symptoms, I may have started supplementing with DHEA, just because some of the deficiency symptoms were symptoms I was experiencing. So that's why it's so important to get a blood test to get an idea of where your baseline is and what needs correcting, and then you can do that. Here are some of, let's go back and let's talk about what causes hormone imbalance to begin with, right? So some of the things that cause a hormone imbalance, to have my notes because I kind of get on tangents, if you remember. Some of the things that cause hormone imbalance are food sensitivities, and this is one of the reasons that I address this so much, the food sensitivities, the Discovery and Nourishment Blueprint thing, because food sensitivities influence your gut health, right? So if you have a food sensitivity and you keep eating that food, you are going to compromise your gut health. You're going to change the bacteria microbiome in your gut, and your bad bacteria is going to surpass or get imbalanced with your good bacteria. And when this happens, it can influence your hormone production and regulation and all that. It's all so interconnected, and that's another reason why not only do we have to figure out our food sensitivities or food allergies, but we also have to figure out, or not figure out, but also have to heal your gut, right? Because it's so important for you to have a healthy gut, not only just not only for like the brain gut connection, like the body-mind connection, but also so that you can have a more balanced hormone production, right? Another thing that causes an imbalance in hormones, and this is kind of frustrating because it's kind of an evil cycle, double whammy, right? It's being overweight. So when we are overweight, we are more likely to have a hormone imbalance, and a lot of that comes down to increased insulin sensitivity. Increased insulin sensitivity, all that means, or resistance, increased insulin resistance, or sensitivity, you can go either way. But all that means is that when you become overweight, when you start adding on the weight, your body is going to start producing more insulin so that it can reduce your blood glucose, okay? And what happens is the more insulin that you take in, the more weight you gain. So that's the problem, right? More insulin, more weight gain. But also, when your body has a surplus, an excess of a very large hormone like insulin. Insulin's a big hormone, okay? It's a macro hormone. When you have a huge surplus of that in the body, it's very hard for your body to regulate all of your micro hormones like estrogen and progesterone and testosterone and DHEA. So when you have insulin resistance, when you're overweight and you are more likely to have insulin resistance, you're also going to have more likelihood of a hormone imbalance because your body can't keep up. It cannot produce in the right levels because it's dealing with this huge insulin sensitivity, huge insulin resistance issue, okay? So that's two. So it's number one, food sensitivities can lead to hormone imbalance. Number two, being overweight. And then here's the problem. Remember, we talked about it's a double whammy. So being overweight causes you to be out of balance for your hormones, but also when you increase the insulin production, because most likely when we're overweight, it's because of excessive carbohydrates, excessive refined carbs, and all that kind of stuff, right? It's driving that insulin up, which is just making you gain more weight, and it's just this evil cycle that we can't get above, okay? The third thing is inflammation, and I talk about inflammation all the time, and the reason I talk about inflammation so much is because it is the root of all chronic disease, and this is what is really interesting. Inflammation is also caused by hormone imbalance, right? Which causes autoimmune disorders. So all of this is interconnected, and high levels of stress hormone, like i.e. cortisol, which I talk about all the time, also leads to inflammation. So not only do you have inflammation that is damaging or preventing your body's ability to balance out hormones, but it's another double whammy. So the more cortisol you're producing, the more stress you're experiencing, the worse it's going to get. So it's really, really important to reduce inflammation in your body so that you're reducing cortisol, number one. And number two, you're also helping balance out the production of hormones, okay? So that they're in proper balance. Fourth, okay? Estrogen and testosterone. Estrogen is one of your female hormones, and testosterone is obviously one of your male hormones, and you have both, even as ladies. These drop in the middle age, right? These drop in or around premenopausal kind of time period all the way through menopause. It's going to continue to drop as you get older, okay? And what happens is when you have excess body fat, and then you add stress, right? The cortisol on top of that. You add refined carbs and all that kind of stuff in your diet, so you have insulin resistance. This is going to cause you to actually get out of balance with your estrogen. So it's supposed to be dropping, but a lot of times recently, due to all kinds of environmental factors and different dietary things like eating a ton of soy, you know, if you're vegetarians sometimes have an issue with this, it can increase the amount of estrogen to surpass where it should be. And instead of having, you know, lower levels of estrogen, and you're thinking, oh, I'm getting older, you know, I need to take more estrogen, right? Because naturally it drops. What we're seeing now is people are actually estrogen dominant, meaning they have way too much estrogen in their body, right? So that's one of the things that I'm a really big proponent of, is getting your blood work done, because you don't know how to treat it if you don't know what it is. A lot of times we assume things and it's not necessarily accurate. So if that's something that you are experiencing, if you're kind of entering into that premenopausal, it's so important to go to your doctor and get a blood test. And then, like, what I would do is I tell my clients, go get a blood test, come back, and we'll work on it from there, right? We'll work on it from a nutrition, you know, point of view. But I don't like to give people, hey, take this herb or take this herb, just based on, you know, a symptom that they have, because it may not actually be what they need, right? So the very last thing that causes a hormone imbalance would be toxicity issues, right? And toxicity doesn't have to be scary. We are exposed to toxins and pesticides and you know, food additives. Food additives are huge. But we're exposed to all of this on a regular basis, whether it's in our environment or our food. I mean, it's just something that we're exposed to in the modern world, right? If you add on that, some of the things that you could be doing that also adds in toxins to your body, so smoking, you know, even secondhand smoke, excessive alcohol consumption. Yes, a glass of red wine, and I'm a big proponent of that. A glass of red wine has high antioxidant levels, and there's all these studies that, you know, with longevity, increasing longevity, but excessive alcohol consumption can also lead to toxicity. Not toxicity in the sense of like alcohol, you know, toxicity where you're like needing to be hospitalized. I'm just talking general. Overconsumption, okay? And this can all lead to hormone imbalances. So that's why a lot of times when you hear about hormone imbalances, you also hear about flushing the liver, right? Detoxing the liver, and that is why. So let's talk about some of the things that we can do to combat that, or to help balance out our hormones in a really nourishing kind of way, right? So the very first thing we talked about is food sensitivities, and food sensitivities, like I said, will lead to inflammation. And poor gut health is also going to influence your hormone production and balance. So the very first thing that you have to do is really about reducing inflammation and healing your gut. It's so, so important. And when you do that, hopefully you will see a big improvement, right? And especially, like, I know some people say, well, you know, I am just a super hot mess right now, you know? And my words to you would be then fantastic, right? Because you have a huge opportunity for improvement. If you are feeling really crummy right now, and you are overweight and you are just not feeling good at all, you have a huge room of improvement right there. So it's really about identifying those food sensitivities, healing the gut, and then reducing some of that weight. You know, once we start reducing the weight, once we start taking out some of those refined carbohydrates, once we start reducing the insulin in your body, you're going to lose the weight, and that is going to help you balance out your hormones, okay? And then toxicity. Let's talk about toxicity, because the other ones we can't really, I mean, inflammation, yes, it's the same thing. We're eating anti-inflammatory foods, really nourishing foods, and then we're going to reduce the amount of foods that do cause inflammation, right? So I always talk about this because when I was in the nutritional ingredient industry, I did a lot of research, right? I always talk about being an R&D and formulation and all this kind of stuff. And when I was doing R&D, I would read a lot of scientific articles. And my biggest focus, like for 10 years, I studied fish oil and the effects of omega-3 fatty acids on the body and how it influences hormone production and all that kind of stuff. Well, I mean, that was just like one piece of it. It does all kinds of great things, right? But one of the things that I love about fish oil is not only does it reduce inflammation, but because omega-3 fatty acids reduce inflammation, okay? They're anti-inflammatory. So that will help with, you know, heart conditions. It will help with arthritis. It'll help with depression even, and cognitive development in kiddos, right? Now we see DHA is omega-3 fatty acid from fish, and it's found in prenatal vitamins and kids vitamins and things like that, because we know that it's critical for really good cognitive development. But what I also love about healthy fats, fish oil and things like that, is that we always talk about amino acids being the protein, or the building blocks to protein. Healthy fat is the building block to healthy hormone balance, okay? So it's really important that you eat a lot of healthy fats to help balance out your hormones. Like that's like the #1 thing that I can suggest to you. So if you're eating a lot of the margarine or the Crisco or the canola oils or the vegetable oils, basically all of the oils that were created in a test tube by scientists, if that is what you're eating, or deep fried foods, deep fried foods is definitely in man-made veg oil, right? So if you're having those, that is part of the problem. If we need to reduce those and then start just adding back a lot of really good nourishing fats, like olive oil, butter, coconut oil, and avocado oil, grapeseed oil, you know, those kind of fats, right? And also, I know it got a bad rap, but animal fats, so like the marbling in a steak, right? That isn't the end of the world anymore. You know, dark meat chicken, that's not the end of the world anymore. There's a lot of really great healthy fats in that can help balance out your hormone levels. So if you are a meat eater, I highly encourage you to eat some of those healthy fats, right, from animal proteins. And then the very last thing we can do, oh, sorry, I skipped one. Okay, so healthy fats, #1, right? Tons of water, #2, because we need to flush out all of the toxins that, you know, accumulate in the body. And this is natural, this is normal, this is why you have a liver. But this is one of those things that we have to really flush out to make sure that we're getting enough of those toxins out of our body and they're not sitting in our body, you know, increasing hormone imbalance and all kinds of other things, wreaking havoc, really. Speaking of water. Okay. So the third thing you can do, like I was just talking about, the water is really helping out your liver, right? Really helping detox that liver. So eating really good quality foods is number one. Skipping that fast food. Even if you could just, make a really quick chicken breast on the stove with some butter would be better than stopping by the fast food and grabbing some chicken nuggets. Not judging, love it, but that's the kind of stuff that kind of does the wear and tear on your liver. Also, the excessive alcohol, especially during the holidays, guys. I know it's so easy. You're at the holiday party and everything is, flowing, and that's when the overindulgence happens, or you're just really stressed out because of everything going on. At the end of the night, you pour a glass of wine and it turns into 3. Like I said, I'm not judging, but this is the kind of stuff that can throw your hormones off balance. If you are waking up after drinking and you have, acne all along your jawline, this is what's causing hormone imbalance for you, right? And this is the kind of little things that I go through with my clients. Like when they say, I don't know, something's just off, blah, blah, blah. We can kind of pinpoint what it is and what's causing it. So it's really about helping out your liver. Another one that I love tremendously is the roasted organic dandelion tea. This is a liver flush, and I love it because it's so easy. It's just a tea. You just drink a tea, and if you really need to, you can put a little honey in it, but it's a bitter, all bitters, so just FYI, if you eat anything that's called a bitter, so whether it is greens, like in the form of food that you're eating, or if it's a drink or an herb that are all labeled as bitters, this will help flush your liver. Broccoli, cauliflower, all of these foods that tend to have, that are kind of stinky, garlic, onions, these are all foods that will help flush your liver and help detox, right? And then greens and fiber. So like all of that kind of helps get, basically you want to get things out, okay? To say it nicely, you want to get things out. And then the very last thing, and this is something that I am experimenting with myself, because I definitely have, a hormone imbalance thanks to the Epstein-Barr that I'm trying to correct. And so some of the things that I've been doing is experimenting with different herbs and things like that to see if that would really help. And one of the ones that I've been using is ashwagandha. Can you see that? Can't really see it. The lighting's bad. Maybe this way. Can you see it? No, that way. It's really hard because I'm not very good with like mirror images, and this is totally a mirror image. Okay. Anyways, I actually got this at Sprouts. You can probably, oh there, that's even better, right? Should have just done that. You can get this at Sprouts. You can get this at Kroger's. No, you can probably get this at Kroger's. You can get this on Amazon. But anyways, this is a really great one if you want to reduce cortisol levels. So if you have high levels of cortisol, and that, so here's another thing. How do you know if you have high levels of cortisol? Well, number one, you do a spit test. Cortisol is a little bit different. You don't do a blood test, you do a spit test, and you do it at midnight, okay? So you go to your doctor, you ask for one. A lot of times they don't have them. Or you can go to get them through LabCorp if you have associations with them. But basically, you hold this sponge-like thing under your tongue around 11 o'clock, and they tell you if your cortisol levels are high. Another big indicator that you have high cortisol levels or a hormone imbalance is that you have insomnia and you stay up late and you can't fall asleep. And that's because your cortisol levels are too high, okay? So that could be causing it. So this one's a really good one. I personally take it. I like it. I find that I'm much more calm and centered when I take this. Because that's another thing. Like, that was one of the big, huge red flags for me, is I'm a very patient person by nature, and I'm a very even kill kind of person, right? I don't get worked up too much. It's just not who I am. And I was getting really snappy with my family. And my husband was like, okay, we got to figure something out because this is not working for any of us, right? So if you were feeling crazy in the head, this could definitely be why. And some of these herbs can help. Another one that I really like is holy basil. and it helps fatigue and stress. It's another, adaptogen. This one is really interesting because it has holy basil, but it also has taurine and theanine and GABA. So this one, it's called Serene Calm. I don't know, you can't see it. Maybe. I was trying to do like I did last time and it worked. I'll put these up there. That way you don't have to worry about it. Ginseng. Ginseng can help your blood pressure, blood sugar, and it's just balancing it out, right? So the very last thing that we can do, so wait, let's go over them because there's a lot, right? Healthy fats. Healthy fats. If you're already doing that, like one of the girls that inspired this whole thing, she was talking about how she, already eats a ton of healthy fats, and she's still experiencing this. So if that's the case, then yeah, you need to go get a blood test and you need to figure out what's going on, because there might be more to it, and there might be, but if you're not eating a lot of healthy fats, start there, okay? 2, loads of water. 3, detoxing the liver. That's one of the things I actually give my clients, 2 things free with any coaching package. I give them the gut healing guide and I give them the liver healing guide because it's so important. And when my clients work with me, they get this stuff for a lifetime. So if, the holidays are kicking their butt, they can go back and do one of those gut healing guides or liver healing guides and get back on track. So highly recommend healing the gut, healing the liver, finding out the sensitivities that you have so that you can heal the gut, right? Because you can't heal it if you keep eating foods that are damaging it. And then also the flushing the liver. What did I say? Water? Yeah. And like I said, the liver healing guide. I said all that, right? Okay. See, I get off track and this is why I have to do this. Okay. And then the very last thing is the adaptogen herbs. And then there was one other thing. Oh, that's what I was going to get at. Okay, so adding herbs. And then the very last thing is head and heart work. And I know that sounds a little bit weird, but Chinese medicine actually talks about this quite a bit. And it's about this idea that if we're holding in negative emotions, that it is going to cause our body to not function properly, right? Our body's not going to be functioning optimally. And one of those things is hormone production. So it's doing the head and the heart work. It's releasing some of those negative feelings that you're experiencing, those negative thought gremlins that you're experiencing so that your body can work at optimal levels. And that's really what is important for you guys is being able to do that. So if you have not started the head and heart work, do that, because I think that in combination with all of the nutrition, the good nutrition, that is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, right? So that is hormones and the holidays. If you are, I'm wearing such a holiday shirt too. If you are really interested in trying to figure out this whole head and heart thing, the gut healing stuff, the reducing inflammation, balancing out your blood sugars, if you're ready in 2008 to start big, right, and start, changing all this around and transforming your life, PM me and we'll chat so that we can get you in for the January session. I am capping that out because I don't like to stretch myself too thin. I want to be able to give a lot to all my clients, and my clients know that they can reach me via Voxer 24/7. So like I said, I can't have 40 people voxing me all day long or I would go insane. So I have to cap it out so that I can really devote a lot of my time and attention and energy to each one of my clients. So if that's something that you want to do, like I said, PM me. I do have a holiday bundle going on. So if you want to start in January and you commit in December, you're going to get the My Nourish Life program for absolutely free. So you automatically get access to that program so you can start today. And it's not hard stuff. It's just adding in some really good nourishing foods and removing some of the foods that may be causing you some discomfort. Enjoying all of the foods you love during the holidays. I'm not going to ask you to give up anything yummy or say no, you can't have holiday cookies with your kids. That's just silliness. So if that's something that you want to do, you're going to get that free. You're also going to get free the bonus, the 90-minute class that we're going to do, and it's Best Body, Best Life, where we map out your 2018 so that you can have the best 2018 ever. So if that's something that you want to do, let me know. Like I said, PM me, or you can always fill out the thing at nourishyourlife.org/apply. So if you have any questions about hormones, drop them. I know that some of you guys are going to catch the replay, but drop them below, and I'll answer them as they come up. All right, bye guys.